we are doing chapter 4, the Restoration and the Glorious Revolution.
Well, if you look at the history of most of Europe, there are occasional outbursts of the plague, bubonic or pneumonic, and it was passed on by fleas.
Again, like
which were carried through the houses and through the streets by rats. And in 1666, there was the Great Fire of London, and the little catchphrase that children learn at school is, in 1666, London burnt to fiddlesticks, as a reminder of how to remember the date.
Many churches were destroyed and cathedrals, including St. Paul's.
And whole streets were destroyed.
Talking of the cathedrals and churches, so St. Paul's Cathedral was rebuilt or redesigned by the famous...
Rebuilt by Sir Christopher Wren.
Another thing we need to talk about is in 1679, there was
getting good at this.
There was new law.
Was there? Which law?
Oh gosh, it was about the body in court.
Oh, the habeas corpus.
Yes, the habeas corpus. So it's similar to the one King John.
Magna Carta.
And this one was about the fact that every person had the right to be present in court before he was
And you cannot hold someone indefinitely in prison without charging them with a crime. You can't just throw them into a dungeon and forget them. Everyone who is taken up by the law has to have a court case, has to be in the court, and you can't just hold them indefinitely.
Perfect.
He who has the body, habeas corpus, the body must be produced, the person.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then King Charles II was also the patron of arts and sciences.
Yes, a lot of science.
We need to talk about Isaac Newton.
Yes. And the Royal Society was founded by Charles II.
So who was Isaac Newton? Because that's a question, like he was a composer or he was a scientist.
Okay, no, he was a scientist. And what he is famous for is he didn't discover gravity, but obviously because gravity has always been there, but he noted it and made it part. And in fact, it's because he saw an apple fall off a tree. That's the story. Why did the apple go down, not up or sideways? Oh, it's gravity. And actually the fact that there is gravity explains a lot more than why an apple falls off a tree. It explains the whole of the universe.
Yes.
And why we orbit the sun and so on. So it wasn't just about an apple. It was absolutely fundamental to our understanding of the universe.
And then we need to talk about the other person, the comet.
Oh, Halley's Comet.
Yes, good.
I'll tell you an interesting thing.
Yes.
Not very interesting. Halley's Comet it's every 76 years. Okay.
Is it?
And the year it was seen, 1910, was when my father was born. 76 years later, he died. So it was Halley's Comet at his birth and Halley's Comet at his death.
That's very interesting.
Weird,
Spooky.
Spooky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's
Weird.
interesting.
I know. I think it's interesting, but nobody.
No, I think it is interesting.
Good.
Ah.
Yeah. There you go.
Cool. Nobody lives forever. Charles II died.
Yeah.
He didn't have any children, apparently.
Not
legitimate children.
Not legal children. He had an awful lot, but his poor wife. But they can't inherit the throne.
No. And then his wife, when he was dying, she didn't want to be present at his
death because it was too sad.
Too sad for her. And then she apologized. And then he was, despite everything he had done to her, he said, she's begging for my forgiveness when I should be begging for hers with all my heart.
I think he was a decent man for his time. Anyway.
But they didn't have any children. Don't play with your pen because that will be... They didn't have any children, so it was his brother, James II, who became the king.
And he was a Catholic.
Again, and he was a Catholic, and we have this problem again.
Basically, I think Charles II was a Catholic, but because he knew he wasn't allowed to say so or to behave like a Catholic,
You mean Charles II was the Catholic?
Yes, in his mind. And but he kept it quiet because he said he'd be a Protestant. So he said, oh, fine, whatever, Whereas his brother went, nope, I'm Catholic. No, and I'm not going to recant or no. Which was stupid. He should have known.
James II was a bit...
He was an arrogant,
cruel,
sense of entitlement idiot, which Charles II, you see, which is why I like Charles II. His brother was an arrogant
Yes, and he allowed Roman Catholics.
He started breaking the rules which were against the Catholics. He started breaking all the rules. Yes, they can be in the army. Yes, they can take be an MP. And the British people thought, oh, hello, this is a thin end of a wedge, as we say. It's all going to change and we don't like it.
Yes, so what happened?
We chucked him out.
Yes, you sent him to France,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And then William
of Orange, yeah. Orange is an area of the Netherlands. Would you mind coming over to England and being our king? Which is a bit odd.
Yes.
And then he married Mary, who was some relation to
James II.
And they got married.
Yeah.
And she really didn't want to marry him, and she cried throughout the service. And she sobbed. But in fact, apparently, they became very fond of each other.
Oh.
William and Mary.
Oh, my goodness.
But they're the only monarchs in our history who are spoken of together. William and Mary.
Oh.
We never say Charles and whatever, but we always say William and Mary. I think they were co-rulers, I think, in some way.
It was called the Glorious Revolution because when William came, there were no protests, nothing.
Well, some people say that it was a glorious revolution and he came over by invitation, but some people could see it actually as an invasion.
But he was invited.
Depends on your attitude.
It's always
the
like
Dutch
that.
ship sailed up the Thames. Yeah, come on. You know.
So James was in France, but some people still believe that
Yes.
he was the rightful king.
Yes.
And they were his supporters, and they were called
The
Jacobites.
because Jacobite is
James.
Latin or something for James. Yeah. And they were had to be very secretive about it.
That they were supporters.
And they wanted to get him back and get rid of William and Mary, I suppose, yeah. Number 1, the UK belongs to which of the following? A, the Women's Franchise League. B, the Australasian Union. C, the Commonwealth. Or D, the Arab League. Obviously, it is C, the Commonwealth. Question 2, where was Charles II when he was called out of exile in May 1660? Was he in A, Spain, B, Scotland, C, France, or D, the Netherlands? And he was in the Netherlands. I suppose that's a connection to William and Mary. Anyway. 3, which of the following pieces of legislation gave every prisoner the right to a court hearing? A, the Bill of Rights. B, the Habeas Corpus Act. C, the Statute of Rhuddlan. Or D, the Butler Act. And it was B, Habeas Corpus, to have the body, the person, the prisoner, the corpus should be produced in court. 4, which of the following statements is correct? A, Sir Isaac Newton was a famous scientist. Or B, Sir Isaac Newton was a famous composer. He was and still is a very famous scientist. 5, some people, particularly in Scotland, continue to support James II after his exile. What were these supporters called? A, Luddites. B, Jacobites. C, monarchists. Or D, clans.
It's B.
B, the Jacobites, which is Latin for James. Question 6. Who succeeded Charles II as monarch when he died in 1685? A, James II. B, Henry VIII. C, William III. Or D, Anne. And it was James II. Question 7. Is the statement below true or false? James II favoured Roman Catholics and appointed some of them as army officers, even though an Act of Parliament had forbidden this. A, is it true? Or B, is it false? It is true. Question 8. In 1690, William III defeated James II at which battle, which is still celebrated in Northern Ireland today? A, the Battle of Bosworth Field. B, the Battle of Aughrim. C, the Battle of Sligo. Or D, Battle of the Boyne. And it's the Battle of the Boyne.